What's up, guys? Welcome back to CTC Fishing. I appreciate y'all taking a second out of your day to check out this channel. Here in the rod shop today, looking at a couple things I got laying around, and I figured I'd just do a real quick video on what I'm throwing right now for late summer, fall bass fishing. And for me, I'm really trying to break it down into levels. This is one of the times of the year where you're going to catch them top to bottom. So I typically, if we're going to cover 3 categories, I want to have a top water, have something to cover that mid-range, and obviously a bottom bait or something to cover the fish on the bottom. I'm always 100% of the time this time of the year going to lead with a top water. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but the top water you lead with is always going to be dependent on the body of water you're fishing. But for me, 90% of the time, I'm going to start with the old faithful Vixen. As you can see, this one's got a lot of love over the years. Caught several big ones. This has been in the mouth of a true 10-pounder. Caught one about 6 pounds on it a couple weeks ago, so she's still catching them. That's pretty much going to be my starting point. The other things that work, poppers work if it's a little more subtle. If you're trying to cover water up on the bank, buzz bait, whopper plopper, especially if you got some wind, things like that can really work as well. Typically, this is going to be my all-around. Throw it on points, throw it over big flats, things like that this time of the year as the bait fish start to get schooled up and stuff like that as we go into winter, especially here in Virginia. We're getting a lot of cooler nights a little earlier than usual. It's just now September here in Virginia, and our water temps have come back down significantly. So we've already really started the fall transition here. And top water is always going to be prime time in fall. So that's always what I'm going to start with. My second bait that I really like is a crankbait. This happens to be a CR10, made by Evergreen. This is a great crankbait for covering anything down to that 10. If I go light line, maybe even 12 foot. If I really wanted to try and kneel and reel it, I can get down and grind those intermediate areas, anywhere from a square bill all the way down to, even as deep as a big 16, 20-foot diver, depending on your body of water. Crankbaits are always going to get bit. They cover kind of that middle water column, but also the bottom. And so you kind of can draw fish from kind of both ends there. And so crankbait's always going to be on my deck, as well as the old trusty chatterbait, right? We've talked about this in the past, but the chatterbait is still, if I'm up on the bank and I'm trying to cover water in a riverine situation or in a backwater or anywhere the bass live shallow, always going to try to throw a chatterbait around, see if I can get one big. Those would be the 2 primaries if I'm really trying to cover water. Now, subset of that underwater mid-column range type fish is going to be, for me, a jerkbait, whether it's a soft bait or a hard bait. A jerkbait's going to be really hard to beat this time of the year. So this just happens to be a, Sakamata shad, used like a traditional soft jerkbait, like you would use it traditionally instead of on a ball head. Take that. Works very well that way, but any kind of big style fluke. I like to lean towards a bigger one this time of the year too. Bay fish are fairly big, at the end of their growing cycle for the year. So I try to always target big bites. So I'm going to go with a 6 to sometimes even 7, 8 inch soft fluke if I'm really trying to target good bites. And then obviously the other one would be a hard jerkbait. So no stranger to that. Megabass 110, nothing crazy about that. But there's definitely certain periods, certain groups of fish out there that really love some sort of jerkbait. And so you always got to give that some love this time of the year as well. Keep it honest. And the last one would be a drop shot for me. If I'm just throwing and trying to cover, if we've gotten to the bottom presentation part and these other 2 categories haven't worked, I'm probably going to start with a drop shot or some sort of Texas ringworm. Those are my 2 kind of faves that really hard to beat, always get bit. And I don't go anything too crazy. This is a little shorty, short leader drop shot, 1/0 Hayabusa hook, nothing too crazy there. And either a finesse worm, robo worm, whatever your choice of worm is, that's really hard to go wrong with that. The other, if you're going to go bottom, you could go Carolina rig. Of course, I hate throwing a Carolina rig, so that's not going to be something that's too prevalent on my deck. The other one would be, like I said, a big Texas rig worm, or even a wobblehead or a biffle bug type style bait will really work too, with a big worm or big creature on the back of it this time of the year. But that's really kind of how I break down bodies of water right now. I keep it pretty simple, not too many baits if I can help it, and just try to cover lots of water. So hopefully that helps you guys catch more fish. If you learn anything from this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can get notified the next time we come out. Appreciate you guys.